Conrad Bosin is the WTV Channel TV correspondent. Well, meanwhile, the U.S. stock index futures point to a lower open today as investors prepare to wait through new data and earnings while keeping a close eye on the potential fallout from President Trump's decision to fire the director of the FBI. Well, apart from politics, a host of U.S. companies are set to report earnings today, but for now, the Dow Jones is seeing 0.17% down, as well as the S&P 500. The Nasdaq is seen higher, though, at 6,120.59. We're staying with the markets, but this time in Asia, where equities closed mixed on Wednesday as investors digest the dramatic dismissal of FBI director in the U.S. and follow the inauguration of Liberal candidate Moon Jae-in after his win in the South Korean presidential election. Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 index closed 0.29% higher at 19,900.09, while the Kospi fell 0.99% to close at 2,270.12 following Moon's election victory. The ASX 200 reversed earlier losses to gain 0.61% as investors digested the release of the federal budget yesterday. After the market closed, the markets in Greater China were mixed, with Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index up 0.6%. The Shanghai Composite closed 0.93%, while the Shenzhen Composite dropped 1.35%. Away from those numbers now, Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, admits that 2016 indeed was a difficult year due to the fall in the price of crude oil and youth restiveness in southern Nigeria. At the launch of the IMF Sub-Saharan Economic Outlook in Abuja, she assures Nigerians that the recently launched Economic Recovery Plan will offer solutions to the challenges experienced.
The theme of this year's Regional Economic Outlook for Africa is restarting the growth engine. It underscores the need for the region to commence an accelerated development towards attaining sustainable development goals and achieving inclusive growth. This launch of the Regional Outlook could not have come at a better time. This edition provides an overview using the most recent data available and making broad policy recommendations in 3 chapters. 1. Restoring the conditions for strong and sustainable growth. 2. Restarting the Sub-Saharan Africa's growth engine. And 3. The informal economy in Sub-Saharan Africa. The year 2016 was particularly difficult for many African economies and indeed other economies around the globe. Economic growth in the region in 2016 only reached about 1.5% of the estimates, and it was the weakest outcome in more than 20 years and well below the growth rate of our population. The slowdown was particularly noticeable in economies like ours that are largely dependent on commodity exports as a source of revenue, exposing structural weaknesses and leading to macroeconomic vulnerabilities. Looking ahead, however, a rebound in growth of about 2.5% is forecast for 2017. My message here is very simple. Sub-Saharan Africa has come a long way, and there is every reason to believe that it will continue to grow and develop with appropriate policy responses. However, it cannot be business as usual. The business model of extracting and exporting raw commodities with little or no value added cannot continue. This old approach must give way to a broad-based growth model driven by import substitution strategies that will localize production, help create jobs and achieve sustainable growth. Also, given the size of the informal sector in our countries and its contribution to employment and household income, as policymakers, we need to improve our policies on this vital sector with a view to realising the full potential of this sector.
Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun. In the meantime, the International Monetary Fund and the Bank of Spain have signed a borrowing agreement through which Spain will provide up to $615 million in new loan resources for the Poverty Reduction and Growth Trust. The PRGT is a benefit for the IMF's low-income member countries, with this agreement, made effective on February the 22nd, constitutes Spain's 6th loan contribution to the PRGT and puts Spain among the first 10 countries to provide new loan resources under the current fundraising campaign. Consumers in Kenya have found themselves in a fix, having to make tough decisions due to the rising cost of food commodities across the country. After low rainfall in October and November, an acute drought has led to a shortage of agricultural produce, driving up prices of basic food items.
Urban residents in Kenya are fleeing the pinch as some retailers in the country's capital, Nairobi, have now increased prices of commodities. The price of a 2-kilogram packet of maize flour jumped by a third to 145 shillings last month from the same period last year.
In the last month, it's gone up. It's shocking because I think just 2 days ago I bought 3 items. It was eggs, a few cakes, and I gave my 1,000 bob expecting change, and there was being asked, you need to top up. So, no, it definitely is a concern, and I'm hoping it has something to do with the drought, and now that the rains are here, definitely we're hoping the prices should come down. But based on past experiences, it comes down marginally, not to the same level that it went up. So I guess we just need to get used to these new prices, new standard of living.
Year-on-year inflation was at 11.48% in April, slightly above the government's target range. Data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics showed that prices of food and non-alcoholic drinks have increased 16.5% year-on-year, directly affecting the shelf price of staples such as maize flour and milk. This segment accounts for 36% of Kenya's inflation. In a country where a majority are yet to break free from poverty, these food prices have led to major changes in lifestyle and consumption patterns. Regina Kemuri is a mother of 5 and works as a house help in a Nairobi suburb.
Like now, I have a temporary job that pays 200 shillings. You buy maize flour and are left without vegetables, so you're forced to cook stiff porridge and have it with black tea.
Economic analysts are warning that high food prices could lead to the undoing of the ruling regime if Kenyans go to the ballot under the prevailing conditions. Kenyatta is running against veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga, who is stoking widespread anger over rising food prices. According to the KNBS, the average price of 1 kilogram of sugar rose 21.61% year-on-year last month to 136.45 shillings.
What actually happens is, you have friends and acquaintances who are well positioned, who quite often are funding the political parties, and they're able to get the licenses from the authorities to import sugar. Now, they don't want to import sugar when the differential is $1 per ton. They want to import it when they're going to make windfall profits of hundreds of dollars per ton. So what do they do? They wait for this type of situation, allow this squeeze to happen like we're having now with our prices so high, international prices so low, and boom, they come in and take the profit.
The government expects inflation to remain above target, a sign that the ordinary citizen is likely to continue paying more for a basket of food.
Business Incorporated will be back in just a moment. Please stay with us.